This meeting is being recorded.
There you go. You're on.
Well, I was at DC Teachers College, and we were in class when the notice came that Martin Luther King had been shot. And they were telling us to go straight home from school because at the time, the people in DC were beginning to riot. Now, of course, we did not go home. We went and joined all the people who were acting up. So, knowing where DC Teachers was located, which was 11th and Harvard Street, we were only 4 blocks from 14th Street. And 14th Street Northwest from maybe T Street all the way up to maybe Spring Road. The blacks were just walking in stores, taking stuff. They were destroying windows. I was just doing everything. They were rioting. And they had called in the National Guard. And the National Guard began to take up posts on the street corners, like every other street corner. And when we would take stuff, and of course I was guilty too, when we would take stuff, we'd head out to the corner. The black guardsmen would tell us, look, don't cross here. You go cross the street somewhere else. You can go up a few blocks, but just don't cross in front of me. But that's how we sort of got away with it. But and all I had was I had a bunch of little dumb pocketbooks. When I got home with those pocketbooks, your mother didn't even want them. She said, well, you come in here with this junk for, right? But we also, I didn't tell about the part where we also went into the Safeway and we got all these steaks and all this other food. And we took this over one of the guys' houses. And we cooked food and partied and just said it was a good time because somebody else went in the liquor store and got all this liquor. You know, I mean, we were just not thinking, just involved in the chaos. There was smoke and fire. I mean, buildings were on fire. Smoke was everywhere. And we were out in the street. I don't mean just a few people. There were hundreds and hundreds of people in the street taking stuff out of the store, just like a riot, just taking stuff, right? And then they finally imposed a curfew and told everybody they had to stay in the house. But curfew didn't really work for me because at the time, I was also working for the government and I had a government badge, Department of the Army civilian personnel, right? So we could go anywhere we wanted to, or I could go anywhere I wanted to in the city. All I had to do was show them that badge. And they would wave.
What that, Dad? I never knew about that job.
Huh?
What job was that? I don't remember you ever talking about that job.
That was CIA.
Oh, okay.
But you never told anybody you worked for CIA. It was Department of Army civilian personnel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because everything's such a big secret then. Ain't no big secret no more. No, but that was what I was doing, and your mother was home. She wasn't getting involved in that mess. But people were really upset. And then after a while, I really felt like they were upset about King getting shot. But then the idea of destroying stuff and taking stuff that didn't belong to you sort of overrode the shooting until later that night and the next day. Because that thing went on for a couple of days, man. But I remember one thing, they would not let us cross 16th Street. and go into Mount Pleasant area. You weren't going over there because white folks were over there. You were not going downtown and tear up downtown DC. You weren't going to do that either. So most of the destruction was between 14th Street and H Street Northeast.
So in your
In
own
our neighborhood.
In our neighborhood, and we destroyed everything that was ours. You know, they were throwing rocks and stuff at the buses. I mean, they were angry. You know what Martin Luther King meant to Black people, and they were upset about that. And the only thing they knew how to do was lash out. But they were stopped from lashing out against the wealth, lash out against poverty, if that's what you want to do. So that's what we did. But that was about it for that.
Did that spark you into any activism? I know you had mentioned once that when you and Mom hooked up, that she wanted that activist lifestyle. I don't remember you guys. The only thing I remember is your preparation for the Million Man March. But growing up, I don't remember any activism. Would you say you guys were activists or?
No, we were not activists. We were working college students and homemakers. That's what we were. We weren't out there doing a whole lot of demonstrating, protesting, and worrying about the cause of Black people until, well, at one time we started wearing dashikis and doing all that, having the bush cut and
right, old brother.
Yeah, we were doing all of that, but as far as being active politically, no, we weren't doing that. Still don't do it. I mean, I was looking at TV this morning, and all of this going on about Tennessee.
They just had 2 of the votes. I think
they had,
the third vote's going on right now, if it didn't already.
Yeah, and they kept the white lady and got rid of the Black young man. Now they're voting on this.
They kept the white lady?
Yes.
They kept the white lady.
Oh.
She survived by 1 vote. But even she said in the interview that she thought it may have been about her color, may have influenced it. But she got to stay.
That's some racist shit.
Justin Jordan, I think they got rid of him. And now it's Justin Pearson that they're voting on now. And they're probably going to scoot him on out. The only thing about it is they can come back.
Yes.
Yeah, they can get voted back in. There's a way for them to get back.
Oh, they can go back on the ballot again, even though
they can go back. And they have an opportunity to fill in. I think they said they can get in. It sounded kind of interesting because it sounded like they can go back in and temporarily fill the position that they were kicked out of. So you know how when a congressperson leaves, then somebody goes in temporary. They may be caught up in a situation like that where they can fill in temporarily until the next vote. But I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about that.
No,
it's just so crazy. But no, we didn't do anything. In fact, your mother and I were never really politically active. Not to the point where we were going to get posters and flags and stuff like that and go demonstrate and do demands and things. Even though when I was with Uncle Sam on Myrtle Avenue, I had an excellent opportunity to get involved because Julius Hobson lived across the street. And Julius Hobson was one of the big people in DC with the protests and demonstrating and stuff like that. That became almost his thing. And I used to listen to them, you know, what they would, his wife wasn't too much into it. But Julius Hobson, oh man, he raised hell because he felt like the schools west of the park were getting more than the schools east of the park. And he was right. And he demonstrated, protested. They did the bus boy, they did everything until finally they decided to go up into Mount Pleasant and Upper 14th Street and take kids who were in those elementary schools and bust them to deal. By the time he got finished, we had something like 5 buses of kids that they picked up and brought up there to deal every day, every school day. And they were there in the evening to take them back home, just so that it could be said that Blacks were given equal opportunity to go to schools west of the park. And then he got involved in the per pupil expenditures. And if you look up Julius Hobson, if you Google Julius Hobson, Hobson, you could probably read a lot about him. But he and Sam and Gwen and his wife Carol, they were all good buddies, you know. But that was because he lived across the street. But that's about the extent of it. Of course, once I got to working out there in CIA, you weren't going out there demonstrating and protesting. That was not allowed. You're not going to do that, you know. But anyway, that's about it for that question.
All right, that's plenty. Let's see. I can stop the recording and you can just chat if you want.